Hey guys, Simon here from Empirical Health. Hope you're doing well. I've got the Walter White look going on, or the Dr. Evil look happening at the moment. So thought I would take the opportunity to talk a little bit about quality discernment. So basically, a while ago we developed this program called the 3-tier testing program. And what that does is it's modeled off Spring Wind and Andy Ellis's work, and to try to differentiate different qualities of herbs. And the idea is that you create as much transparency around what a herb is that you're getting, and have sort of some systematic process to presenting the herbs to a practitioner, and then them understanding clearly what is in each herb and being able to answer all those questions as clearly as and succinctly as possible. So they did what was called like an organic and premium and conventional range, and we decided to grade it in A grading. So A being conventional. So I'll kind of go through all this. So basically, it starts at a conventional level. So that's just a herb that has been grown conventionally, typically in a commercial farm for the purposes of medicinal use, or and that basically means it could have been sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, etc. There's use of fertilizers in those things, as you would imagine with most conventional products. Herbs and vegetables and fruits are all the same. Typically, those are done within safe levels, but sometimes not. So it's important to note that. Now, some herbs are only grown conventionally, so you can't get them in a higher grade than that. So that's why we have to have that grade, because just for those purposes, it's kind of the less of two evils, in the sense that you can have the actual herb, you've got the function of the herb medicinally, and you have to weigh up that there are some issues with the silts. There is some pesticide residue. The other thing is that in some environments you don't have an issue, you don't have any problems. So you have to basically accept that, because it's literally in the water, it is in the air, which is, as completely unfortunate as that is, obviously from an environmental perspective, that is a reality. So that's the A grade. So in that A grade as well, you have other herbs. You have herbs that could potentially have an organic certification, or could potentially be wildcrafted or pesticide free. However, for whatever reason, we haven't tested those herbs. So it may be because the volume of that herbs is very, very low in terms of selling, and so doing a test that costs $500 US for a herb that you only sell one bag of for $9-10, it would obviously make that herb completely unaffordable. So it doesn't rule out the fact that it could possibly be a really good herb. So, but the most important thing in this category, from our perspective, is the identification. So that's another thing that we have in this category. So identifying the correct species is paramount. So basically, this is just sort of what we're doing is saying A grade is the stock standard. So we've identified the herb correctly, and you wouldn't believe how many times the herb is misidentified. There's many reasons why things are misidentified in the history of Chinese medicine. That's a whole nother explanation. Then we go to what's called the AA grade, so A conventional AA grade, which is a tested herb. So we test for about 279 pesticides. That is an international standard that is an acceptable level of pesticides, and there's pesticide residue that's set at sort of 2 part per million, or 0.02. But typically at 2 part per million, it has to be not above that. So that is an acceptable level, and that's good. So there are some herbs that are in that category that are tested for pesticides, have a very low a pretty non-detectable level a detectable level, but below 2 part per million, and then tested for those pesticides. So that's double A grade. And then what we have is what we call the triple A grade. Now, we came up with this term because we wanted to differentiate ourselves in the market from the rest of from other companies and other suppliers, because we were trying to set this standard, and so we developed this standard because what we were finding was that we couldn't get this standard in Australia, so we set that bar for ourselves. This is nothing that that is regulated or anything like that. We just put this self-regulation on us to be transparent and to be clear and honest with people. So the Aaa grade herb is a herb that's been tested for over 400 pesticides, between sort of 408 pesticides, and they come back with a non-detectable level of pesticides. So this is totally different from being below a certain amount, because you can do things to certain herbs to make the pesticides reduced. You can certainly do this in the granule industry, which is a whole nother topic again, which I've seen done, but with this grade, it basically is a guarantee that we have 0 pesticides in it whatsoever, and it's a guarantee basically. So that's the Aaa grade range. And then we provide certificates of analysis that prove that fact, and you can always request those depending on the herb that you want. And you know, these herbs are hard to come by, they're hard to find, and you know, we scale the world to try to find these herbs and work with Spring Wind very closely in terms of finding these herbs and sourcing these good quality herbs. You know, Andy's been working with many farmers in China for years and years, trying to get these herbs as pure as he possibly can. He's worked tirelessly, so honestly, it's an achievement in itself. So those herbs, pesticide free. So the next category, what we have is called ACO, or Australian Certified Organic Grade. Now, this grade is for herbs that have been grown on organic certified farms, typically in China, Taiwan, in Australia, India, now in parts of Southeast Asia as well, which is very interesting. And these farms are typically have some sort of larger certification body, like USDA Certified Organic, or different certification agencies, and they work through an international standard of organic certification. When we receive them into Australia, we have to follow a very strict protocol in terms of how we record them and how they're batch recorded, etc., etc. It's very, very time consuming and laborious. However, what it does is it creates a chain all the way back and forward from the farm all the way to the end product. And there's a very strict protocols where you store them, everything. And we get audited every year, twice a year, to make sure that we're complying with these standards, and which is great. Keeps us accountable, which is awesome. We love it. Keeps us busy. So that's what happens with the organic herbs. Now, those herbs are often, obviously tested for pesticides, and that's pretty much all I can say about that. The herbs don't necessarily, they can be grown all over, like I mentioned, so yeah. Then we have another grade which is called the Australian grade. So the Australian grade is a grade that we started because a lot of practitioners were asking us, hey, what about herbs grown in Australia? Farms here were saying, hey, would you like to supply some of our herbs? And we, of course, yes, absolutely. If we can support a local economy and a local industry, we're more than happy to. So yeah, we have a few herbs that are like that. Obviously, they're few and far between because of the limitations of our climate and farmers and seeds and etc. So, but we have a few of those things, and some of those are very, very beautiful. I mean, all of them are really, really beautiful, but we only have a few of those herbs available. And of course, they are more expensive because they're done. They're a trial-based thing, so if you can find use for those herbs, I would highly recommend them. They are really, really nice quality. So again, all of those herbs starting at the A grade all the way up, they're all correctly identified, which again, I reiterate that that's a fundamental thing. So I hope that clarifies those grades for you a little bit. And if you'd like to hear anything more about quality and how we go about doing this, please let us know. Until then, bye bye.